It's my birthday. Right. Dear Zoe, thank you so much for giving this piece a home. I hope it brings you many years of joy. Thank you. Today we're doing a Q&A and I asked you to send in your questions via Instagram, so I've got all of those and I'm going to be reading them and hopefully answering them as best I can. If you are enjoying this content, do remember to like and subscribe, and you can head over to Instagram and follow me there for more videos and stories. Yeah. Okay, let's do this. When did you make the realization that you were not a male, and how old were you? I think the best way to answer that question is just to provide a little bit of context around gender identity and gender expression. Your gender identity is really your inner deep sense of who you are in terms of how you see yourself in terms of like masculine and feminine. Now people can identify as either, as both, as neither, or on any level of a spectrum. And so what often happens is there's an assumption that for trans people we were one gender first and then we moved and became another gender. And so your gender identity is really something that is with you for your entire life. For trans persons specifically, their external gender expression might not necessarily be in alignment with that gender expression. So somebody, for example, can present a very masculine gender expression, but have a very deep female sense of their gender identity. And so what often happens with trans people, that voice, that language, that vocabulary about what it means to be trans and how to express that often gets diminished and squished when we're very, very young. So you'll often hear trans people express that they were always the gender identity that they knew they were, but they just didn't express it or show it or have the means or the vocabulary to express that outwardly. So for me, personally, I have been a woman my entire life. Even though my gender expression, that is my outward appearance, didn't necessarily match my internal sense of who I was, that doesn't negate my gender identity in any kind of way. Which is to say that I've always been female, and I am now only expressing myself as being feminine. So with that as context, to answer the question, I think it may have been about 6 years ago. I remember I was sitting in the bath, randomly scrolling through YouTube channels, and saw something that caught my eye, watched the video, and I was like, yeah, I'm trans. It was like a light bulb moment for me, and suddenly how I felt about myself my entire life suddenly made sense. Suddenly I had a vocabulary to express that and the means to align my expression with my identity. Okay, next. What is the biggest misconception you've had about being female before you transitioned? What has now changed seeing that you are female now? So again, I've always been female, but my gender expression is now matching my identity. I don't think I had misconceptions about what it would mean to present as feminine. I guess when I was first navigating my transition space, I think there was a large consideration for myself that I didn't know everything. And so I'm also the kind of person not to hold assumptions. And I think assumptions are the things that lead to preconceptions. But that said, it is like one thing to like know and hear women talk about their experience and feminine women talk about their experience and trans women talk about their experience. But it is a whole other ballgame to actually experience it. Like, wow. Like society, specifically men, treat women really badly and treat trans women even worse. Like it's a lot. And so that for me, I think was the biggest step in understanding how feminine bodies are treated in society, because it is horrible. Mouthful. Okay, next. Is there anything you sincerely miss about presenting as male? Not a damn thing. Next. Okay, did your sexual orientation change since you've transitioned? To be very honest, like I've always seen myself as being fluid in my sexual identity. But I think as I've transitioned over the years and presenting as more feminine, I'm finding myself a lot more comfortable in that fluidity. So at this stage, like, I'm really unapologetic about who I'm attracted to and who I choose to sleep with or who I choose to date or marry or whatever. Like, I'm attracted to everyone, which is like great because that just like opens up the playing field like so much. Also think in that context, I think people who present as masculine and the way society treats people who are masculine, society puts like a lot of boxes around cisgender men's sexuality and their fluidity around their sexuality, which is like a real shame because you know. Thank you so much for opening up the platform for questions, Zoe. I believe our communities are in so much need of this. You're welcome. How old were you when you settled on your name, Zoe? Did you have a few favorites or was Zoe always the one? She's always been the one, babes. Like, I mean, like, I guess I thought about it for like a very brief time. I don't remember how long it took me to decide on it, but I remember where I was when it just came to me. Like, I was in the car taking the long way home because I didn't want to get home yet. I was driving through the suburbs. I was thinking about names that resonated with me, and then suddenly Zoe popped into my head, and I was like, yeah, that sounds nice. And I said it out aloud in the car, and it kind of felt nice. And the more I said it, the more natural it felt, the more right it felt. And yeah, and I think I've ran with that like ever since. Duh. Okay. When did you truly realize that your assigned sex at birth was different from how you identified, and was it the defining moment? Firstly, I appreciate you using that language, like, thank you. I think this is a question that I have answered already, but I just want to stress how much of a defining moment it was for me. Like, I don't even have the words or the vocabulary to express what that felt like, to acquire that language, to be able to express myself in that particular type of way. Like it really was incredible. Like, the moment for me is as vivid as ever. Like, I will never forget that. Like, it was one of the defining moments of my life, I guess. Your hair is always looking so amazing. Any hair tips, advice, and product suggestions? Well, thank you. Seriously, thank you. Hair was a big thing for me. It took forever to grow it out. I remember when I was first transitioning, I just so badly wanted my hair to grow, and it just took forever. This is a nice length now for me. Like, this is like a good length. I think might keep it here for a bit. In terms of tips for your hair, honestly, the best thing I can say is that if you have naturally curly hair, don't put heat on it at all. Like, don't blow dry, don't flat iron, don't do any of that stuff. Like, it really messes up your hair. I mean, honestly, like, I get into the shower, wet my hair completely, get out, put some product in my hair, and let it air dry. Yeah. Also try and avoid like shampoos that have like sulfates in them. They really damage your hair and just put like this layer on your hair that's just nasty. I hope that helps. Okay, what products do you use for your hair? It looks extremely healthy. Okay, like, is my hair a thing? Again, I just avoid shampoos that have sulfates in them. And I pretty much just use a curl activating cream on my hair after I get out of the shower and let it air dry, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. Like, if I was gonna blow dry my hair and style it and do all kinds of stuff, like, that's like time I honestly don't have, babes. Like, no. Okay, how much of your growth is attributed to family support, and what did that look like? Honestly, I'm not the most family orientated person ever. I think when I came out, I initially told my partner, and then subsequently my brother and my mom and my dad. I kind of avoided talking to my extended family about it because there were all kinds of anxieties and fears that I had around it, because some of them were homophobic and transphobic, to put it mildly. Again, I'm not really family orientated, so, you know. But the thing that was really important to me was the love and support of my mother, my brother, and my dad. Like, they were willing to put in the work and the effort with me and for me, so that for me was like everything. But I think it's also important for me to mention here that just because you are genetically related to somebody doesn't necessarily qualify them as family, in my opinion. I've been very, very blessed with a group of people, of friends that I call my family, who have been so important to me and supportive of me during my transition and even today. And I don't know if I would have been able to do that without them, to be very honest. And even though like I'm highly independent and highly capable, There were moments and times where I was leaning on them when I didn't know what to do and where to go. So a really big shout out to my close friends and chosen family. How do you deal with microaggressions? Okay, firstly, like, I don't think there's such a thing as a microaggression. Like, it's an aggression, babes. Like, wow, somebody's being highly problematic. And the way that I deal with it personally in my context is one of two ways. And this is highly dependent on my mood, on the context, on how relatively safe I am in the environment. For the most part, I either do one of two things. Either one, I play into it 100%. So, for example, somebody would say something like, you're pretty for a trans woman. To which I would go, yeah, you know what? I'm actually really gorgeous, eh? Or the other option is to really ignore the person altogether. Because why? Like, you don't deserve my energy, honestly. Next. The biggest stigma or stereotype that surrounds transgender women, specifically in South Africa or the world. Wow. I think there's like this huge expectation that trans women have to be hyper feminine, you know, not exhibit any kind of like masculine traits, gotta have like full breasts, gotta have like soft skin, no body hair, long hair. Honestly, that is so tiring, and just like one of my main things that I just want to like, you know, like women come in like different shapes and sizes and hair lengths and body types and heights and stuff, and we have different voices, and that should be perfectly okay, accepted and respected, without necessarily placing any kind of expectation on women, both cis and trans, to look a particular type of way. Like, we really don't exist for other people. And I think that for me was something that I always felt internally and instinctively. The sense of that I don't think anybody is exclusively feminine or exclusively masculine. These are societal constructs in the way that we construct gender. And so that's part of the reason why I chose not to feminize my voice in any kind of way. Like, I've got a really masculine voice, but I love that about myself. I think it's so sexy. And why should I give that up? For who? For what? Right. Many trans men and trans women get fetishized. Has that ever happened to you? All the damn time. I just want to be crystal clear when I say this, that we do not exist for your entertainment, or for you to look at, or for you to figure out your sexual identity. Like, we are actually real people with real feelings and have whole lives, and whole people who actually love us for the way that we are, as opposed to catering to your every need and existing for your purpose. So honestly, that happens quite often. I think people are interested in me solely on the basis that I'm trans. Like, I remember a while back, while I was in my How Is Life phase, straight men love us. Like, wow. It was quite extraordinary. Like, I can't tell you how many times I would like hook up with a straight man, and then like it just be about me and my transition and what my body was like and what does that mean for them, and always placing themselves in relation to myself, you know. And yeah, while I was getting laid, that was great and stuff. I do think that it is damaging, really damaging to the person on the receiving end. So yeah. Tell us about the ring. What ring? I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, what on earth are you on about? In all seriousness, I am engaged to the most amazing person like ever. Actually, I'm sure every engaged person says that about their partner, but it's true for me. We've been engaged for about a year, and it's been really, really amazing. They're like the most supportive human being like on the planet, just like generally with everything. Like, you know, comes across as being really hard and stuff, but you know, teddy bear on the inside. It took me a long time to like find them, and I don't think I've ever been as like loved in my life like I have right now with them. So, which is like really funny, because like I had sworn to myself that I was like never gonna get married. Like, I didn't see that was part of my life. But it's funny how things turn out, I guess. yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for your questions. I actually really enjoyed answering them. So maybe we'll do another Q&A a little bit further down the line. Remember to hit that subscribe button for more content like this. And you can head over to Instagram for more stories and videos. Okay, I'm gonna go hang my birthday gift now. It's my birthday.